Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of My Beautiful Chaos with Misty Fitch of Fearfully Made Ministries. Okay, we are back with another episode of My Beautiful Chaos. I can tell while I'm talking right now that I'm stuffy and you are clearing your throat constantly. So here's the problem with this coronavirus thing. It hit right in the dead center of Texas allergies.
I know.
And you mowed yesterday.
I did.
And after you mowed, our dog is even sneezing nonstop. Our grass was really tall. So bear with us as we try to get through the stuffiness of our sinuses. But we do want to address things that we talked about last week regarding this pandemic that's going on. And I'm sure everybody who's listening is aware because they're living it. So last week I asked you, so much has changed in a week.
Yeah.
Last week I asked you, how worried are you about this virus? And your response was that you weren't very worried.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Where are you now? Are you same place?
No, I'm a little more cautious about things now. Just being more aware of things. Last week it was wash your hands, cough in your elbow. This week is the same thing, but don't get in my bubble. You better stand back because
6 feet away.
6 feet away, stay out of my bubble because I don't want you in my bubble. It's a little more, as I said, just a little more aware, a little more cautious about things.
Okay, so for anybody who knows me, they know that I truly am a germaphobe. Like, I'm not as bad as, like, Howie Mandel, but I am very much, any student that has ever walked into my classroom knows that I don't even share hand sanitizer.
I got yelled at yesterday for using one of her pens.
Yes, he did, because I don't share my pens.
That's right.
And it's just, it's like I've prepared my whole life for this. Yes, thank you for getting out of my bubble because I need space. I don't want to be touched. It's very weird and it got worse over the years, but that's a different story for a different day. But last week, I have to apologize because I admitted last week that I was being selfish in my reasons for being concerned about this virus. But now, do you know, I got all of this stuff in this week that I'd ordered for our trip. Swimsuits, sundresses, and all these cute things. And I have to say, I really appreciate my husband. Because last week when I started worrying, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to go on our trip, which we still don't know, but more than I pretty much have it in my head we're not. But
I have it in my head that we're not either.
We can't cancel yet. We have to wait until it's closer to time. So I messaged you because I started getting worried. It looks like there might be a chance we don't get to go. You just calmed me down, or every time I started worrying about it, I just remembered your words. And it was, one, it's not like we can't go on our trip. We just reschedule for a different time. Like, it's not the end of the world for us. We just go at a different time. And you just said, just let's be still and let God do whatever he is going to do because it's going to be great. In my head, there are some things that I don't know if it's wishful thinking or if it's things God has revealed to me for if we do have to reschedule that I really get excited about. I'm not even going to speak it out loud because it's probably just wishful thinking. But anyway, I am more worried. I'm less worried about the illness. Not that I'm not worried about it, but what worries me, like almost to the point, and I haven't even talked to you about this, I almost cried earlier because I was just thinking, okay, last week was hard because I would go to the store and we can't find anything. And, I've tried to stock up on anything I can think of and not hoard, but just stock up in case we need to move to beans and rice and all that, which is hard to find. Also stocked up on flour, can make bread and tortillas and all of that. Forget about eating healthy and low carb. We just need to be able to eat.
Right.
But now seeing people post pictures of lines outside waiting to even get into a grocery store to get groceries. So first of all, my first thought is I hate with a passion Black Friday shopping. I don't do it. I don't like being around the crowds. Again, you're in my bubble and I'm not going to fight over, I hate shopping, period. So shopping in a crowd is like, I'm going to start twitching thinking about it. But that's what I feel like it's turned into. Like, I cannot see myself standing in line at the grocery store just waiting to get inside and not even knowing if I'm going to get anything when I get inside. So it almost brings me to tears thinking this is where we are. And that's what scares me is these businesses that are not able to operate. Like, what is our economy? And I'm not even one to think like that, but what is our economy going to look like in one more week or, however long this is going to be?
Yeah.
That kind of carefree and selfish way of thinking we had last week has definitely changed because I'm really not even thinking about our trip. I'm thinking about people, and I'm wanting to yell at people who won't stay home. I just want people to stay home so we can flatten the curve. I know everybody's tired of hearing the flatten the curve, but let's just stay home. Seriously. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today because there are things that, people are asking about church. Churches are going to go, churches are going to be obsolete because you can't go to church. Or where is God during this? Why would God let something happen where you can't go to church? But here's the thing. Church isn't buildings. It's not the building.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're at a church that is building a new building, and it's really exciting because it's been a 3-year process to finally get to this point, and we're supposed to be done by the end of the year and into the church by the end of the year, which may change. But it's not about the building, which is really cool because the whole thing we were about to start at church was about, this is not about a building. It's
Right.
about a church. And so this is the time for the world to see that church does not equal building. Because we're having church in our house.
Mm-hmm. Several times throughout the week.
Yes. Our church, Keystone Church, you can go and find so many resources at keystonechurch.com because I love what our church is doing is really bringing the church family, the spiritual family together, and just we're getting closer. I feel like I am getting so poured into because every single day our church is doing something online. I love where we're going right now. We're about to have a women's online small group. It doesn't matter if you're a part of Keystone Church. You can be a part of this.
And at times like this, I think you need to be part of something
Anything.
like this.
It doesn't matter if it's our church, but find a place to really get plugged in.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
Almost like a support group. But I mean, it's a spiritual support group.
But we have a women's small group study that's coming up that's going to be led by our pastor's wife. We have church every Saturday, every Sunday, and prayer on Wednesday, online streaming. We have a students group is about to start. So you're going to be able to get on a Zoom meeting with your small group that you're already a part of. But if you're not a part of it and you need to find a group, you can come and join in on this. It's going to be Tuesdays. We have small groups are now moving to online. So you're going to have your option for couples groups, women's groups, men's groups, singles groups, whatever. There are so many options and something is happening every day.
Mm-hmm.
We had online worship. This was not my intention. I wasn't like trying to plug the church,
right.
but it goes into what I'm about to talk about. Was it Friday? We were able to do worship at 10 o'clock at night. That was so cool. We had a date night and we just were watching movies and then we had worship and it was nice. So we're having communion on Wednesday. That's going to be interesting.
Yes.
I'm anxious to see how that's going to work. So it's basically find what you have in your house because really that's not the important thing. The important thing isn't what you're actually taking in and consuming. It is what it symbolizes.
Right.
And that's what the whole purpose is. What I want to say is God really spoke to me a while ago when I opened Facebook and I opened Instagram and it's like flooded with people who are watching church online. And I remembered Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So whatever you're dealing with right now, outside of this pandemic, God is there and he is going to use it for good and for his purpose. And right now, there are people who don't go to church and they're watching church. If not, there's no way that they're opening their news feed and not seeing church somewhere. And it took me to another place, Genesis 50:20, and we don't always read past 20. But it says, this is where Joseph, it's talking about Joseph and his brothers, and their dad died, and the brothers were afraid that Joseph was going to blame them for everything. And in our fleshly minds, rightfully so, he could blame them for not having a relationship with his dad because they sold him into slavery. But Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, But God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. And verse 21, so then, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your children. And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. So let's just look at that in this pandemic. First of all, you've got homes that they've been busy. They've been running everywhere. They're constantly arguing with each other. God is not in that home.
Mm-hmm.
But they go to church every time the door is open. They go to small group, but they don't bring God to their homes. But these same people, and I'm not speaking about anybody in particular because we can totally be included in that. God is brought into their home right now because they're watching it. They're worshiping. They've got worship music in their home where it used to be filled with busyness. And, we talk about how we don't have time. We don't have time for each other. We don't have time to date. We don't have time for our kids. Our kids are getting older. Where did the time go? But God, I'm not saying God caused this at all, but God allowed this, and he's giving us the opportunity to stop and to bring him into our homes and to have that time with our family, going back to the basics. We're not filled with activities. We're not filled with a crazy amount of homework after kids have been gone to school all day and we've been at work all day. We're in a completely different, it's like we went back to when we were growing up or when our parents were growing up. What the enemy intended to harm us, because this virus was intended to harm us, like no doubt about it. It hit us in every single area, but God can use good. And let's keep looking at that where it says, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your children. So when you're worried about the toilet paper, y'all, I'm going to talk about the toilet paper because we're getting close and I can't find it anywhere. And Dallas just put a regulation on how much you can actually get at the store. I never thought I would live to ever see where there is a regulation on how much toilet paper you can get. But my question is, where are they going that they're finding this toilet paper? Because we can't find any. We're good for now, but we're getting close. We're getting to a scary close point.
Yeah.
And with our kids, if y'all have kids, you know that you might go to the store and get all the things that you need on a regular basis and on a regular normal day. But then the next day it's like, oh, I don't have soap. We ran out of soap and I forgot. And now I'm trying to take a shower and we don't have any soap. And so we kind of let them borrow our soap or toothpaste or whatever. We can't do that with toilet paper. Like, you run out. We need to know you're getting close to running out. We can't wait until you forgot that last time you ran out. That's just a side note. So while we're worried about how are we going to feed ourselves, how are we going to continue with school, and how are we going to provide for our families, just look in the scripture 365 times. It says, do not fear, do not be afraid. God is telling us that we do not need to fear. We need to trust that he is going to provide. He provides for all of the, what is it? Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to worry about its own.
Yep.
If he provides for the sparrows, how is he not going to provide for his children that he loves? So my whole thing is, in this time where we're worried about provision, in this time where we're worried about where is God, look around. He's in your house. Bring him into your house. There are churches. If you are not a member of a church, you can look anywhere and find a church that is streaming online. Find a church. Let God come into your house. Spend time with your kids. Spend time with your spouse. Love on them and just be still. Just like you were saying this earlier this week. I feel like I'm kind of going everywhere. Just to be still and let God do what he does, because I do believe that something good is going to come out of this. I believe that our churches are going to be filled over capacity. Not just our church, I mean churches in general across the world, not just the state, not just the country,
Right.
Across the world. Churches are going to be filled when this is over. We are seeing baptisms. There was a baptism today. There was a baptism yesterday. Because our church has their phones open, you can call and get prayer. You can find out how to accept Christ. You can still do that. You don't have to be within the church walls. So it's really cool to see that during this time we are having baptisms, and that is, I just think that's amazing to me. So I hope that what I said makes sense. I hope that I didn't go, because I feel like I went in like 4 different areas, but I was trying to make it all one. But I just loved seeing, it all came from seeing everybody today just worshiping, having pictures of them worshiping and thinking, how often has God been in that person's house? How often has God been in our house? Because we have been, we've had some attitudes, we've had some, and it's just we need to let God in, and we are. I have friends in Canada. They were watching their church. They were, little churches, if I'm not mistaken, my mom's church, teeny tiny itty bitty church. I want to say that they even did something, and just to see that we're not laying down. Mm-hmm. We're not laying down because it's hard times. Instead, we're rising up. And, I'm about to go into a whole nother message, but
we'll do that next.
No, real quick. In Proverbs 31, we know about the Proverbs 31 wife, and I almost did a podcast episode on this, and I may, but I'm going to just touch on it real quick. Talking about how we don't lay down. Right now, we're not, as a church, laying down. We are rising up. We're rising up when it's dark. The Proverbs 31 wife can also, I think, be equivalent to all of us. So you and I, we are compared to the brides of Christ, right? So I don't know that that's what it's saying, but I think we can all look at it. And I used to look at this scripture and I'm like, excuse me, she gets up while it's still dark. I can't do that. Like, I would stop at that verse every time thinking, okay, well, I'm never going to be this Proverbs 31 woman. But let's just look at it. She gets up while it's still dark. That's what we as a church are doing. Replace she with we as a church. We are rising up while it is dark times. I don't think it means literally that the wife of noble character wakes up while it's still dark before everybody gets up. I think that it means when it is dark times and there is no food to put on the table, she is still going to rise up and she is still going to do everything she's supposed to do for her family. And that's what we're supposed to do for our own families. And that's what the church is doing for the church family. And that's what I love seeing right now, is that we are rising up while it is still dark. And if you want to find that, that's Proverbs 31:15. Read all of Proverbs 31 and look at it as the church. She, the church, and you are the church. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but this is what we're doing right now. We're rising up while it's dark. We are providing food for our family, whether it is your physical family, your neighbors, your church family. We are making sure that everyone is provided for in whatever way. Somebody needs toilet paper. I'm going back to the toilet paper. And you have some, then good grief. Let's let somebody use some toilet paper. Bread, whatever. Let's help our neighbors. If somebody can't go to the store to go shopping because they are at high risk, help them. And the thing is I don't even have to say this because I know that probably everybody listening is already doing this. So anyway, I was about to start preaching there, so I'll stop. We will see you next time. And right now, during this time of this pandemic, we are going to probably have random episodes. Like, it used to be every Wednesday, but we ended up having Tuesday last week. This one's going to be on Monday. So just subscribe to My Beautiful Chaos on whatever podcast platform you listen to, and that way you'll know every time we update. So have a great week. Stay safe. Stay inside. Thank you for joining My Beautiful Chaos this week. If you have any suggestions for topics or questions you would like answered on an upcoming episode, email me at mybeautifulchaos@email.com. See you next week.